What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. It is officially free agency time. I mean, we're here, man. We're a week out. Well, less than a week now before teams can start to talk to other players, but it feels like free agency time. The news is piling in, and we have a re-signing that was announced today. The Detroit Lions are re-signing cornerback Emmanuel Moseley, according to Adam Schefter. So let's get it started. Everybody, to my video. Glad you guys are here, and yes, we're back with some Detroit Lions news, and I'm so excited to bring this news to you guys. I hate that I'm a little bit late to this. I was working on some homework, so I completely missed this. But then when I saw it, I was like, oh, snap, I got to jump on this. I was fired up because there's a part of me that really felt like that this wouldn't happen, not because of anything that this player did this past season, because he didn't play at all this past season. Actually, one game that I went to was the Carolina Panthers game, and I was like, oh, my goodness, Moseley's playing. We got to see him run onto the field, and then 2 plays later, he's walking off the field, and he didn't look right, and then obviously he was out for the season, and it was horrible because he was recovering from an ACL tear from the year before, so it took some time. So week 5, he's making his debut, playing the Carolina Panthers, and then the tear of the other ACL, that is just awful luck. A lot of bad luck in terms of injuries since he's been in the NFL. It's part of the reason that he initially signed, I think, that one-year prove-it deal that he did, and maybe that he didn't stick around with San Fran, because with San Fran, he was tearing it up. Like he got it rolling, and this is one of those videos where, of course, I don't want to make it too long because it's trying to get the news out there, but this is a guy that I already broke down because we signed him last year, and there's really no new film to take a look at. So if you guys want to see a breakdown, link to that video in the description. You guys can go check that out. My breakdown of Emmanuel Moseley, if you have not seen it, from last year, because I was pumped, and I know me and Rad were both pumped on adding a guy like Moseley. And it's funny because I've been working the last couple of days on trying to put together a list of cornerbacks to target free agency, and while I still think that's a valuable video, and I may still put that video together and post that, especially if you guys want to see it, this was one of those players where it's like, I don't really know where to put him. He has to be on the list because, to me, I really want to get this player back. But on the flip side, I'm like, I could definitely see a world in which the Lions were just like, you know what, we gave him the prove-it deal. He was hurt. It's unfortunate, but we're just going to go a complete different direction. He didn't do anything wrong. We're just going to go a different direction. And I would understand that. I could see how that usually takes place. But with not seeing him, and then we hear that, he's sticking around, he's helping out the team, being around the players toward the end of last season, even though he could not play. You also just talk about the potential that this player had, and he was like taking the Quentin Dunbar signing, like when we signed Quentin Dunbar, or some of these kind of like prove-it deals, to a little bit of the next level when we added Emmanuel Moseley, because where he had come from San Francisco, and what he had done in 2021 and 2022 as a starting outside cornerback for that defense, and the way that he had emerged and played really well to begin the 2022 season. In the first 5 games, 13 receptions on 20 targets, like just over 60% completion percentage, had an interception in there, allowed a 63.5 passer rating, and then to get hurt along with 3 pass breakups. Part of that was also against DJ Moore, who is now with the Chicago Bears, and that game alone, I was like, oh, I like this. He's holding his own against DJ Moore, and then we know DJ Moore's in Chicago, so I was just excited about that in general. Then you also looked at the skill set, and you're like, okay, this is one of those guys that's comfortable in press coverage when it didn't seem like there was a ton of those man press type of corners, but he's also super darn athletic, very explosive, twitched up in the lower body type of defender, but that also was very capable in off-man coverage as well. So you felt the flexibility, and you're like, this guy makes sense. Now, he does miss too many tackles, but he made sense stylistically. So when you talk about the flexibility to play different coverage techniques here from a press look specifically, you can see the knee bend that he plays with. He's able to get right under the chin of the receiver on the play, and he's able to maintain good hip flexion to open, turn, and run. Obviously, he's using the length there. Now, what you can see is situations like this where he matches kind of that fall step, and then he can get himself a little bit wide, and then he starts to kind of lean over and carry himself over. But notice the foot quickness to slow himself down, dial himself back in, get on the shoulder of the receiver. So here on a spot like this, you see that weight kind of shift a little bit, and they're able to create some space, but he still has the footwork to get himself back into the play. You see the FBI on a play like this, again, kind of the knee bend, that way he's very balanced here at the top of the route. He's able to recognize, he gets into the half turn, but he's comfortable. Recognize receiver slowing down, he can dial down with it. Here on this play, cover 2 depth, right? He has the length, he has the depth to do it, and then also just getting himself in a really good spot and obviously finishing there on that play. Here again, you see that kind of lean, he starts to lean a little bit, and he's trying to get back to contact here. Receiver plays into that, and again, you can also see he stays low throughout this rep, gets himself back into it, but he kind of gets moved off here because he kind of gets pushed off, and then towards the end of the rep, he's able to separate a little bit as he starts to kind of fade a little bit back on the play. But here with inside leverage, when the receiver doesn't necessarily press aggressively into a single step, instead he kind of sets it up a little bit slower on this play, he's able to then mirror his foot quickness and pace himself with the release. That way he can hold inside leverage. So you get flexion, you get good foot quickness as well. You create consistent knee bend. Well, you'll fade a little bit. You'll get some movements that aren't as fluid. Man, I just think the flexibility for what we like to do schematically is there, and he's natural in half turn. He allowed a 57.4% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 8 passes broken up, a 72.1 passer rating. You can also just look at his coverage grades, or you can just watch the guy play, and that's why I'm going to link that video. Just go watch some of that film video, because I'm telling you, this dude could absolutely play. We were fired up, and the way that I always talked about it and looked at it was, okay, Cam Sutton, right? He's kind of the stabilizing corner. You kind of know what you're going to get. You know the limitations. You know what he's good at. You understand that. I'm very excited to see him next year. I think, again, we get more healthy corners around Cam Sutton. I think we can help him out specifically, but you kind of know what Cam Sutton is, and he's a reliable piece. He gave him a multi-year deal. It makes sense. But Emmanuel Moseley, I always felt like, man, this guy's got the most in the tank. Like, this guy has the most here. He's got potential to be a #1 corner. He's got the body type to do it. He's got the athleticism to do it, and he's also got the ball production to do it as well. Like, this guy can be big time. It makes sense why he's signing the prove-it 1-year type of deal, and I don't know what this deal is looking like. I'm assuming it's very similar, maybe even a little bit less money because he didn't play this past season at all. But it made sense because of the injury history of why he would do that. You know, you go back to 2018, he's a rookie, he's an undrafted player. His debut, week 9, few plays in, he's injured. You move to 2019. 2019, his second season, again, an undrafted free agent. He wins the starting role, NFC Championship game, Super Bowl. 2020, missed 4 games. 2021, missed 6 games. Again, 2022, first 5 games, then the ACL tear. With us, ACL tear. So this guy's missed so much time with injuries, you could understand it, but when he's been out there, recently especially, this guy's been a really darn good football player. So all of the traits were there for me of like, this guy can be a #1. This is the guy that I was so excited to see because I'm like, he's got special upside. And he's still now only pushing 28 years old. So it makes sense to bring this player back. The Lions cornerback room is also very light in just terms of who's currently under contract. Right now, we would now have Emmanuel Moseley. That's awesome. I'm so pumped up. Cam Sutton and Brian Branch in that mix, with also guys like Chase Lucas, exclusive rights free agent, Jerry Jacobs, Kendall Vilder, Will Harris, those guys being free agents as well. So throw Stephen Gilmore into the mix, an undrafted free agent from last season that we had added. So it's a very light cornerback room, which means the Lions are going to continue to add to this. But Moseley was a guy to me that completely fits into when you look at the rest of the free agent market, right? If he was coming from somewhere else off an injury, right? If it was last year's status when we signed him, it was like Dan Campbell made it kind of sound like before the draft, like those guys will probably start. Like, he didn't hold back. He made it kind of clear. We didn't draft a corner, and it was like, oh, we're probably going to draft corner. We didn't even do that outside of Brian Branch, who played slot. But he made it kind of clear, like, oh, those two guys are going to play on the outside. Like, that was their vision for this. It was just they had to be healthy. And to me, he's got that talent level. When I'm going through these corners and I'm putting together this list, yeah, there's guys that I like, right? There's definitely guys I like, even to L'Jarius Sneed. But to me, Emmanuel Moseley is up there with any of them. I mean, I put Moseley against pretty much any single free agent corner you'd want to throw at me. And to me, when I list him in terms of the guys that I like, you know, I got Stephon Gilmore towards the top, Ronald Darby, what he did this past season, he was awesome with Baltimore. He's up there, of course, L'Jarius Sneed, who would also take a trade now. Not saying that they should overlook doing any of these moves. I think they should make some of these moves or make a single move somewhere, draft or free agency or both. But talent-wise, what I've seen on the field, from what I've watched from all these other corners that I've been watching, this guy is up there with anybody else from what I've seen on the field. Like, there's not like a huge gap. I'm like, well, Moseley's kind of, no, he's up there. He just needs to get on the field. So I'm just so darn excited to see this news. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. You probably can tell. I'm so fired up to see this. I was fired up last year, and just to see that this news took place and the Lions were saying, let's just bring the dude back. I'm sure it was on a reasonable contract. I wouldn't be shocked if it was actually a lower cap than this past season just because he didn't play at all. But this is awesome. This is awesome. Welcome back, Emmanuel Moseley. Oh, my goodness. And hopefully this means that he's able to maybe get started a little bit earlier next season, potentially. But at the same time, like, I just want to see this dude play. I just want to see him play. We got to add more. We do. But I want to see this guy play because I know there's a lot in there, and I just want to see it. I want to see it in this defense. I think he helps us a ton. So I'm fired up. I'm going to leave it right there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Definitely click that link. Go check out the breakdown video I did a year ago because I could do it again, and I might. I mean, if I'm bored, I mean, you know, when it's the summer. But right now, the video's already up from last year, and there's no new film. So just go check that out. Probably change how I look at things now when I watch film. It's probably much different. But with that being said, still probably something worth checking out. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.